Hey guys, welcome to our brand new podcast, Wombo Combo. Uh, Everything LCS and league related news coming at you weekly. I myself am Taz Moraz, aka Dakota. To my right here, we have Nook Shasti, aka the Brad Man. And then we have bringing up the rear, Nubbeth, aka Trevor, Smoking Hot Lad.
Thank
You
you.
guys want to talk?
Yeah, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Go ahead, Nubba, Trevor. Take it away.
All right, so I'm just gonna get into a little bit of introduction, like Dakota said and Trevor. I've been playing League for 7, 8 years now. Uh, got into it. I really enjoyed it, even though the community is super toxic, but it sticks. Started watching LCS. One of my first memories is Centaur and Lust Boy being on TSM, so around that era. Uh, and TSM was just the most dominant team when I started watching, so that's why I became a fan of them. Even when they go 0-6 at Worlds.
Yeah. It was a rough time to be a TSM fan.
Yeah, but
Um,
staying up wasn't worth it.
no, it wasn't. I agree. Um, well, I guess I'm Brandon, aka.
You
No Cat.
guess, or you are Brandon?
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm going in with the intro. That's what I meant. But I started playing League. Gosh, season 4, I believe. Um, I got into it from there's this old PS3 game PS3 Xbox game. It was it was Lord of the Rings MOBA. I forget the name. Guardians of Middle Earth, I think. I
Yep,
played
that's
that
it.
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Then it got it died. So I found League of Legends and been playing ever since. Not that great, but I love watching LCS. And yeah, favorite
Talk
team
about
is
your
also
toxic relationship with TSM.
yeah, also a TSM fan. First time I ever saw TSM actually was, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was you guys remember like the old Rift Rivals, or it was no, not Rift Rivals. It was Battle of the Atlantic, I think is
Oh
what it was called.
yeah.
It's back in the day.
Jeez.
It was the very first tournament I watched, and I think I have a memory, it's a distinct memory of TSM playing um, Alliance. Is that old EU team with
Old EU super team.
right, with like Wicked and back then they had like
Froggen.
Tabs and all those players, and there was yeah, it was wild. I think TSM won, but I think the reason it stuck is because Wicked played Malphite with Trinity Force, and I don't know, there was a lot of talk. That was back when Gragas used to play mid lane,
Oh,
so it
dude,
was
I missed the Gragas
yeah,
mid lane.
Gragas mid
Back
lane.
in the
But
good old days.
yeah, that's how I got into esports, and I've pretty much loved it ever since. I mean, I can't think of a time since then that I have not consistently watched League of Legends and TSM. So
I can think of a few times I haven't. So I guess that just leaves me. Um, I got into League because my older brother yanked me in. His name's Brad. You might know
you're
him.
welcome.
He's the guy who just talked. Yeah.
You're welcome.
That's a huge regret, dude. I wish you never had, but
Ruined your life.
yeah. Um, yeah, so I started playing. I took over one of our friends' roles who was playing top at the time. Pretty sure he still hates me for it, but it's all good. Um, Biggest memory I can think of about like when I started playing is how trash I was, but I just wanted to play this Volibear because he was a freaking giant bear. And I think I inted every single game, but I had a blast back then. I wish I would still have that much fun when I int.
It's not quite as much fun anymore.
No, too much pressure now. I started watching LCS I think it was spring 2013. The first year Cloud9 got in. It's like halfway through the split. TSM was first at the time, but that did not last long. It lasted like 1 week, and
They lost to
I don't
Cloud9
know.
the very first week.
Yeah.
Cloud9 beat them.
I mean, yeah, it was like they were 1 game ahead at one point. And then like the rest of the split, Cloud9 just kept dominating. I think TSM started falling. But yeah, I just I started watching them because they look like a cool team to me, so I started watching them, and then like I didn't really get into LCS like so much at first, but I started watching streams of like Sneaky and Meteos, and that is where I became like a true Cloud9 fan off the streams, honestly. And then I went through every iteration, and I can say I have gotten very close to stop watching esports as far as LCS goes a couple of times. A lot of tilted rosters with Cloud9, but you know, hey, we're back on top, so it's a good time. It's a good time to be a Cloud9
Yeah.
fan for now, until we inevitably throw the split again, and
Yeah,
TSM wins it.
Good old summer of 2020.
Oh my gosh, dude. You have no idea how freaking like nervous it is to go through that and then like literally go on a 3 game loss streak again this year. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, dude. It doesn't matter if we get
I think
perched or
everyone was
not.
worried.
Yeah, everyone was, especially when they lost to CLG.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, COG clapped, dude.
Yeah.
They literally beat TL and then the very next game beat Cloud9.
Yeah, and then immediately lost to Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians, yeah. Yeah.
Truly
All right,
counter
so
logic.
counter logic. Let's just get right in, I guess. We're going to do a quick recap on the split here. Let's see. I want Brandon to take this one. Brandon, tell us about what happened in the split. Give us a rundown.
What happened?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously the top 4 teams, Cloud9, TSM, Team Liquid, 100 Thieves. I think they were. I mean, you know, Cloud9, Team Liquid, TSM. Most of the time, they're always pretty high up there. So as expected, into the split, they ended up top 4. 100 Thieves came out swinging. They had I think near the second half of the split, they had a little. It was a lot rockier, but coming out of the gates, they did extremely well. I think they only dropped the game to Cloud9 early. I mean, they beat TL. They were looking really good, and then later on, they swapped out Monte for one. I guess we'll talk about it later, the specifics, but whatever. But 100 Thieves was a little surprising, and I think the biggest surprise is Dignitas. I think most people, I mean, if you look at the preseason predictions and all that, Dignitas was near the bottom. No one was expecting Dignitas to be.
I think I had them 9th when I did a power ranking.
Right, yeah.
Person.
And they're sitting at, is it 5th place?
5th,
Yeah.
Fifth,
it's up there, and they've beaten some of the top tier teams, and they've looked good in most of their games. So I think Dignitas is probably the biggest surprise, and then you have Evo Geniuses, Immortals. Well, I guess Evo Geniuses is the last team in playoffs, so I guess I should probably say that they're 6th place.
Yeah, there's actually a pretty big gap between 6th and 7th place.
Right,
like,
and then the rest of them are just pretty. I mean,
yeah, EG's at 10-8 final record. Immortals came in at 7-11. So
right, and I think another. I mean, I think everyone was expecting COG to be better than what they ended up being. I mean, they have a fairly stacked roster. I mean, on paper, it looks really good.
To be fair to them, I do think the second half of the split, they looked a lot more what they were supposed to look like. But they played RGS.
They didn't have Broxa, and for some reason they didn't play Pobelter for a while. So I mean, there are definitely some problems with the roster that contributed to their loss streak. But they look so good in the early game, and it's insane. I mean, what is their first blood record? I mean, it's
Yeah,
insane.
Oh,
they had
it's
first blood in
ridiculous.
the first
It-
of their 11 games. They had for all first
I
bloods.
yeah,
I
it's
think they might
insane.
have lost first blood three times. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it's 3 or 4 times this split.
They come out swinging in the early game, and they always, I mean, not always, but most of the time, they have this lead going into like 15 minutes, and then the mid game they just throw it away. They can't carry it over. So yeah, COG is probably another one that was a little unexpected. I think most people expected them to do a little bit better with the roster that they put together, but I mean it's COG, so
Yeah, I mean, I actually had them right outside of playoffs, but my sixth place playoff team would have been FlyQuest with EG. I mean, with Dignitas
yeah.
down there.
Actually,
So
I had no idea what to expect with FlyQuest, blowing up the roster and stuff.
I don't think anyone. I
yeah,
mean,
I gave them the benefit of the doubt just because they had good veteran presence. Plus, the rookies that were coming in were probably two of the top people on their
right?
roles.
Yeah,
So,
I wasn't expecting them to be top six though.
do you have
I mean,
COG above them?
Licorice, I would have, yeah. I mean,
Mm.
on paper, COG just looks good. I mean,
Yeah, I mean they do.
Smoothie Wild Turtle,
I don't. I don't.
Bellbelter,
I completely have no. I know he's a good support and all, but I don't have any faith in Smoothie.
Oh, yeah,
I don't.
I don't
I
really
don't
either.
think
But Wild Turtle play like what? Didn't he have the most pentas of any person this split? I know he had two, I believe, and I think only the other 80 carries have got one.
Didn't Neo
I
get
mean, Sven got 2 in one series. So.
Well, I'm not talking about lock in.
well. Anyway,
I don't know if
Anyway.
they count as part of the split.
yeah, I think I don't think he's like top 5 support, probably, but I
Yeah.
don't think he's like bottom tier support.
Well, I
like-
think most people's hesitation with putting them up higher in the beginning of the split was Finn wasn't. He was an okay top laner. He was going to be a middle of the pack coming over to North America.
I mean,
he was.
to me, Finn was the only one that was like
Well,
kind
no.
of.
I'm saying Finn way outperformed where he was supposed to be. Finn actually,
Right.
I think, might have been top 5, like
Mhm.
easily, maybe
yeah,
top
no,
4.
yeah, he played great. But what I'm saying is when I was ranking them,
Yeah,
preseason,
but
he was
yeah.
like the only one that was like. But I mean, they have Broxo, which granted he didn't play for a few weeks, I don't think, but
Yeah, he had visa troubles again.
Yeah, he actually
Yeah, so-
no, he was actually out till week
A
5.
whole lot longer this time.
No, not week 5.
I think
It would have
maybe
been
it was
week
week
5 if it would have been regular. It was like week 2 or 3,
I
but
think it was
with the
3.
games the way they were, that's halfway through the split.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
So
he only played 12 games, so he was out.
yeah.
Yeah.
He came for week 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But I mean, it is CLG, so you can't really.
but overall, I'd say my top 4 I think panned out exactly how I had them. I had Team Liquid coming in hot compared to TSM, but I did have TSM over them at the end, going into playoffs, just because I feel like TSM's one of those teams that always figures it out by playoffs. They just always do.
Yeah. I think definitely power ranking, top 3, almost everybody puts C9 TSM Team Liquid.
Well, I say a lot of people put 100 Thieves, but I said at the beginning, if you don't play to the style of DeMonte, you're not going to be getting a value mid laner out of him. And I feel like that's what happened to them late in the split. They stopped. They realized that the meta was shifting, and so they tried to. It's really like almost exactly what Cloud9 did. They tried to force going into the meta shift instead of playing what they were good at. But if they would have kept playing what they were good at, I don't think the meta shift would have affected them. I think they still could have got away with it, and they still would have been a top 3 team easily.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, I was listening to an interview, Sword Art interview the other day, and he was talking about how NA is so like. They're so like bound to the meta,
They are, yeah.
Because it's meta, whatever's in the meta is always being picked, and they never go outside of this box that is the meta. Whereas other
Yeah.
regions,
And
they'll come up with unique picks.
yeah, it's crazy to me because Cloud9 got so good at like the Fun plus Phoenix style where the Doinby roams and stuff like that. They got so good at that because that became meta after Worlds. But they shifted from it so quick. But the thing is the reason FPX won Worlds wasn't because they were abusing meta. It's because they were playing that when that wasn't meta. And everyone else was getting beat by that because they were so stuck on meta that when Doinby started roaming and he's so good at timing summoners, and he would just show up instantly top lane or bot lane on a roam when he shouldn't have been able to. And so they won a lot of games that way, but it wasn't meta. And then it came meta, and all these teams started doing it. But I feel like it's better. That playstyle is better when it's not meta, because it forces teams that want to sit back and scale on side lanes and stuff. It forces them to be proactive early game, or they're going to lose, because you're just the way you're moving around the map. You're pressuring every single objective early.
Right. I mean, I agree. I think, but I mean, to the point, I mean, there are definitely creative picks that, while not meta, probably could have, and they switched Demonte out for Ryoma, which apparently it's because Ryoma is better with the meta picks, which is okay. But I don't think they win. I mean, they haven't looked. I mean, not that Ryoma's been playing bad, but they haven't looked great once they switched Ryoma in.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think Ryoma, besides, the meta being, what they said, better at the meta, I don't think he's really offering anything more than what Demonte was.
Yeah. Since they switched him in. I mean, they've won 3 games, but they've been against the bottom tier teams. So, I mean, if they lost, then that would have been a bigger story than if they won.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost to CLG. Wait, no, they didn't. I'm looking at the wrong one. They lost to EG. Anyway.
Yeah, okay, so I have in my notes here, later on, I don't actually think either one of those mid laners would have been worse than the other. I think they're both on the same skill level. I think the problem was they never found an identity at all. After they started losing and they started shifting, because even when they put in Ryoma, they were still, they were going for these dives and stuff, they were still playing with Demonte, and it's that's great and all, but you switch Demonte out to do a different style, and then you're falling back on your previous style.
Yeah.
So you need to find an identity around your mid laner if that's the way you want to play, but you have to do it around the mid laner you have in, not the one you want in.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that if they were going to switch out mids, they should have done it way earlier. It was way too late to do it with 2 weeks left, because now they pretty much have to have Ryoma in, because he got to play the last 2 weeks.
I agree.
So,
we talked a little bit about some of the teams that surprised us when they were ranking with Dignitas and TOG. I want to touch on a team that didn't surprise me at all. Golden Guardians. I almost always have them last. I absolutely love watching Golden Guardians play because I just know that Niles is going to get camped. And
you always have them last? So I guess they surprised you last split then, huh?
I mean, yeah, but
I think it was fair to put them last at the beginning of the split last split. Not at the end.
I never have them very high up in my power rankings.
And there's a reason. I know their CEO or their owner or whoever it was came out and said his philosophy was he's not going to spin big if he doesn't have a chance of winning. He can't outspin Cloud9 TSM Team Liquid and all. And I get that. And that's smart play and all, but at some point, you've got to make a run. Because since franchising and Golden Guardians got in, I think they have not been bottom 3 one time. And then they immediately sold. Yeah, they immediately sold their entire roster afterwards. So it's you finally did something good, betting on young players and players that got a second chance, and then you gave that all up. And I understand, trying time, saving money, but like at
Yeah,
some
I mean,
point,
this
something's got to give.
roster.
Either you got to start building to win, or they need to look for someone who's willing to build to win. Because if you don't have the money to build to win, then maybe you just shouldn't have a spot in the LCS.
Honestly, if you're not playing to win, why are you playing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a problem with a lot of teams, though. I mean, honestly, I'm a huge TSM fan, but I would love to see another team in top 3. You know, I'd love
Yeah.
to see some teams actually, you know, because I
That's
mean,
why
the top 3 teams have been in the league for
I was
a long
excited about
time.
Dignitas this whole split.
Yeah, and
Every
that's
time they
even
would
a
Yeah,
win.
team.
absolutely. And all NA people, no imports.
It feels so good. It feels so good, and it feels so good if Immortals started doing really well at some points, and that felt really good. Immortals is a team I would love to cheer for. Not necessarily because they have all NA, but like, I mean, when's the last time Immortals was good? Like, back when they had that stacked roster, 2017,
When they first came in, right?
4 years
yeah,
ago now,
when
right?
It's like Huni Rainover, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's like 4 years ago now.
Right. Yeah, they came in strong, and then yeah, now it's I don't think they've had a great showing. I mean, FlyQuest has looked
FlyQuest,
good. FlyQuest they
FlyQuest was
got
good the
second
past couple
place.
splits.
Yeah, but past 2 splits they've gotten second place.
And,
Um,
100 Thieves has been good. Let's
You
see.
gotta think though. They did really well 2 splits in a row, but then due to COVID and stuff, they had to blow up their
Yeah.
team because they didn't have the funding.
EG
I
is
mean,
fringe. They've always been like, I mean, since they came back in, they've been
which is
top
only
6, but not top 3.
yeah. But I agree about Golden Guardians. I don't feel like. I mean, last split was definitely a surprise. I mean, that roster was really good, and I guess it kind of shows because
It's still doing well.
yeah, it's still doing great. I mean, for the most part, until they started falling off. But um, yeah, I don't know. You can't really expect much from the roster. I mean,
Okay.
Stixay is like the only one that's, and
I don't
Stixay's
like
not
that
even
move.
amazing
I
anymore.
don't like that move at all.
Stixay's not. I mean, like he's probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth picking up a academy 80 carry over Stixay.
Well, no, because it would be a lot cheaper, and you have people like King from Cloud9. King is a guy who was looked at as the best 80 carry coming in
Yeah.
spring last year.
Actually, I mean, there's also Cody's son, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
true,
like
Cody's son.
There's
neither
Cody's son.
these guys are both residents here because of the OC thing. They're probably both cheaper than Stixay,
Probably.
and I think both of them have a higher ceiling right now. But you go with a more expensive Stixay and put around him 4 rookies that have very little ceilings compared to the rest of the league. Like,
It's so hard to I don't know. Like, I am so glad that rookies are getting a chance to play and that we're seeing a lot more younger players. But it's so hard, I think, to I don't know. I guess you're just so used. I'm so used to the older players that when I see like a newer player, it's so easy for me to just like dismiss them. You know.
Yeah,
uh,
I get that.
Like obviously everyone on the Golden Guardians hasn't looked great, all the rookies and stuff. But like I don't know. People like I mean, it's like Lost. Lost has been playing really well, but it's really hard. I mean, try to compare him to Doublelift. You know, it's like
yeah, the thing that gets me about Golden Guardians, I feel like they did good when they went with rookies and stuff, but I just feel like they did not even get the best rookies they could have got out there.
No, I agree.
Like I don't think who's their mid laner.
Blaze Olive.
I don't
is
think
pretty-
he
it's
is.
pretty good.
I don't think he's anywhere as good as like Evolved would be. Copies one. Like even I don't know how old Sword is. I'd rather have him.
He's old enough. I don't think
Swords
he wants
just
to,
turned
though.
18. He's on TSM Academy at the moment.
Yeah, he's on.
Yeah, I
TSM
know.
Academy. I think he wanted to try competitive before he.
Like,
Committed.
I understand,
yeah.
like, you're going cheap and all, but a Blazov, like, even if you're going for rookies, a Blazov has not even looked good, like, great in Academy. He doesn't, like, smurf on people. I feel like Evolved would have been such a better fit. Like, Evolved played so well on TSM Academy.
Mhm.
I don't keep up much with Academy, so you're gonna have to carry the conversation on that one. I
I
don't
think the
know.
Blazov was really good his first year in Academy, but
Yeah, but that was, like, 2 years ago.
yeah, it's been a while. But
Oh,
anyway,
no. I'm gonna
that's
run
like
through some. I'm gonna run through some questions about bottom teams here,
okay.
just to get your opinions on this. Okay, so essentially, this all revolves around changes and going towards the future. As far as Immortals, what would you guys keep the roster or make a change? This one's just a simple one. I think there's definitely pros to both sides of this one, and that's why I have it on here. Because honestly, I could see it going either way.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know.
I think Revenges look pretty good. So
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind keeping. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't mind giving the team another chance. I mean, they haven't looked good, but they're all young players.
yeah. So
It's really, I
here
mean,
you're really saying, is there any moves we could make to get us into a playoff spot by summer playoffs, which could then set us up to maybe get to Worlds?
right.
So is there a move that is worth taking that could get them a shot at going to Worlds, or would you rather roll with this young roster and bet on 2022? Because this young roster looked really good.
Yeah, I would probably just keep it, to be honest.
I'd probably just
I
keep
mean,
it considering how young they are.
there are some free agents that you know would be well. I mean, would work well, but I don't think they would
Yeah.
win. You know. I
So
know
what I have down here is, personally, I think keeping the young core is good. I think if you wanted to make a swap, I think you could target mid and get a better mid laner in there, and I think you could definitely do better. I have no problem with their mid, though. I think he has showed that he has tremendous growth.
Yeah.
One change I would make either way, though, is I'd get rid of Xerxes. Xerxes is an old player. He's from the old UOL way back in the day. I feel like there's a lot better young people from North America you could pick up there. Like, Contracts is up, Grig is up,
Acadian.
Acadian. I don't feel like Acadian's that good, though. I feel like Acadian had one or two good splits. Anori played really good last split in the jungle. I know he's kind of older. Meteos is... He's older, but he could give them a veteran presence because I feel like some of those games they did need a better shot calling, and I just don't.
Right.
I feel like Xerxes was always good at not cheese, but off meta and knowing matchups really well. I just feel like he's not as solo carry as he used to be, which is doesn't benefit him well. I feel like Meteos, like if you watched that when he went back to 100 Thieves, that last split, he was so good at setting up to get someday ahead, and they won games through them. You can tell that he was just focused on team play at that point. And I think that's big for when a veteran realizes, hey, I might not be able to 1v9 anymore, but I can definitely win games. I can make this team win.
Mm-hmm.
And so I either go younger or go with someone who can help mentor your team.
I don't know what changes they should
what I
make.
would say.
I don't know what changes they should make roster wise, but I'm looking at their stats for this season, and it looks like they just need to focus on their early game. Focus on getting ahead early, because I'm looking at a stat right here. It says that their win rate when they're ahead at 15 minutes is 85%. So if they can just get ahead early,
Saying a lot because
Yeah,
their regular win rates really low.
I mean, yeah, but
So,
it shows that when they get ahead, they know how to keep ahead.
yeah. So I think that's one of the teams I had that could stay the same. Maybe one roster move, but not really to necessarily improve them for next split, but just to keep the team young and get them in a good spot for 2022.
Okay, let me ask a harder one.
Okay.
CLG. Support,
What
right?
do I have here?
It'd have to be support, but like on paper, the roster looks
No,
good.
I actually had blew up the bot line. I actually said they could honestly make a run for Worlds if they got young talent. Like I think either you go in and buy Sneaky with a better support, because I think Sneaky does better with less than Wild Turtle. Not that Wild Turtle's not great,
I
but
think Sneaky's done.
Yeah, I don't think Sneaky's gonna come back to the LCS.
I think he might. I don't know if you guys watched a lot of the co-streams, but he said he's still interested. He just didn't do it this split because he was going to be making very little money, less than he was going to make streaming. So he
Okay,
said
I
there
didn't
wasn't a
know.
lot of
I
opportunities.
assumed that since he didn't play this split, he just wasn't
No,
interested anymore.
he just didn't get the right offers. What he said, but he said he was still open to play.
You think he comes back do you think he comes back for a low-ranking team?
Well, no, that's what he's saying. He was saying he wasn't going to take a pay cut essentially to go play for a team that he didn't see being able to win. Like he said, he was going to have to try super hard, and then he was going to get paid little for it.
So what team would you?
But what I suggested is they went young with bot. They have veteran in top, jungle, and mid with Pobelter. I think they pick up King Isles from Cloud9 Academy. I think that's by far the best duo lane. You have two Oceanic players that absolutely smack in individual skill level. Like, I think that bot comes in and is already better than 4 or 5 of the bot lanes in North America, including the one they have now. And it might take time to groom them, but I think they have a better chance than the team right now.
So Wild Turtle would just be. I assume if Wild Turtle isn't good enough for one of the bottom tier teams, then
you're just saying Turtle's done.
It's just done.
Oldest standing player.
I don't think
player.
He's not good enough for a bottom team. I just feel like COG could do so much more. I feel like COG could be, from what I saw this last half, I feel like COG could be top 4, honestly. If they got a better bot. I don't think that's outrageous.
For me, I think the roster looks solid. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing them like run it back, but like just fix some of the issues they had, because their early game insane. If they could fix their mid game, their late game with the roster they have, they could probably make top 4.
I don't think they can with roster they have. I like looking at it. Finn played really well. Brox is always going to be a top jungler. And Pobelter is not going to be someone you can exploit. He's going to be good. The problem is, if you look at their games, Wild Turtle did smash when they got ahead, but their bot lane was losing so many matchups. It was getting stomped early. Like, they would get first blood, and then like some games they would still lose early game.
So maybe you switch support then, because I'm not a huge fan of Smoothie. I don't think Smoothie is the best.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the reason, like, I wasn't necessarily saying get Wild Turtle out of there, like get switch to AD carry. The reason I suggested King Isles is because they're a bot lane that's played together, and they have synergy.
Yeah, I could see that helping. I don't know.
And I think King deserves a spot in the league. Like, he's been ridiculously like 1v9ing some games every time he's in academy. And he didn't get a spot because, well, visa issues last time. He didn't even get a play.
Your audio cut out.
Yeah, he cut out. I'm gonna have to. I agree with you, Brennan. I don't think they should get rid of Turtle.
Oh, you're back. I don't know. I could see it go both ways, honestly. I mean, I wouldn't mind sticking with the same roster. I don't think that even if they change it, I mean, they could make a run, but the top teams look really good. So,
Yeah, I mean the
but
problem
if
is with
anything,
the like with the bot lane thing. Uh, if they get into that to top four, I don't think that bot lane is better than C9, Team Liquid, or Cloud9's bot lane.
probably not even 100 Thieves. I mean,
That's true.
100
Probably not
Thieves
even 100
probably
Thieves.
good.
I think 100 Thieves has top 3 bot line.
Oh, for sure. I agree 100%. Those
Uh,
two work really well together, and like they're just. I'll tell you what. Whenever he switched to support, I was not expecting a lot, but man, he has played really well.
sorry, I'm
So
trying to fix my internet problem here.
you're good.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. CLG to me is a team that, on paper, looking at the roster, I feel like they should be way better than what they are. But
yeah.
kind of logic. And then FlyQuest. What do you say about FlyQuest?
FlyQuest support, honestly, they also made a swap mid-season. They switched out Diamond for Dream, which I feel like was a good one. Like, Diamond showed he was good at making shot calls and all. But I feel like there's no way, there's no world in which Diamond should have a spot on a team and Zazel shouldn't. Because they do pretty much the same thing, and I feel like Zazel's just a better version of Diamond.
Mm-hmm.
So if Zazel's not good enough for a team, I don't think Diamond is either. And I think Dreams might have been good. I didn't pay attention to them much when Dreams came in.
Dreams just look pretty good, actually.
I'll tell you what. I I have to listen to my. A lot of times I have to listen to the games because I'm driving while they're on. But I was listening to one of their games and man, they just kept talking about Dreams engages.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he gets called or anything. It's like he's looking for the fights.
I mean, yeah, he's looked pretty good actually.
So I'd run it back. I think Palafox was nervous / underperforming early. I think later in the season he started coming alive and he started being more confident and making plays. So I feel like he's good.
Jose
Licorice.
Diogo,
Jose did amazing.
Yeah, he did really well.
So
Licorice, he had a bad split. He actually talked about it in the Travis interview that came out like yesterday or something.
I watched
He
it.
yeah, he said his confidence has been shaken apparently this year by being cut from Cloud9 and stuff. He said to him
and
that was his worst split ever. Yeah.
Which is something he said he wasn't used to.
So I think everything else is good. He's a reliable carry. I think they just had support problems.
Yeah.
Support gap, as Double would say.
Mm-hmm. And I think Dreams is looking good. So probably just run it back.
That's what I have for them. I just have put maybe keep Dreams if that's good, and then if they really want to make a switch, you have Olay and Biofrost up, so you can do either one of them. Great playmakers. They could help.
Do you think any of these rookies, these younger players that are coming in, do you think that they'll be able to compete with the money that the top orgs are throwing at players, like the top tier players? Like for example, do you think any of the rookies will ever be able to stand a chance versus like a Fari or the next Alfari that gets bought out by?
Yeah, for sure. I think Revenge showed why this split. He solo killed Alfari twice.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'm just curious if any of these teams that can't afford to throw tons of money at the top tier players, if they'll ever stand a chance,
I think so. I think Revenge and even Fudge have showed that. Fudge was a guy who replaced Licorice, who was looked at as a top 3 top laner in the region. And Cloud9 took a chance because they said they felt the skill level was close enough and they didn't see why they should have to pay a couple million for Licorice when Fudge is almost just as good and it'd be a lot cheaper. So I think those two definitely proved that, yeah, it might not. Fate God even some games Fate God popped off. on Dig, and he was doing really well. I think they
That's
proved
true.
that maybe they're not going to be able to 1v9, and yes, they're not going to be able to have these insane numbers that Alfari have, this 6.1 KDA with 493 gold difference at 10 minutes. Yeah, maybe they don't have those numbers, but they do what they're supposed to do. They play their role well, and they know how to play it. They can create advantages when given the opportunity, and they can play weak side. So
Yeah.
I think in a sense they do perfect for what you're paying for. I don't think Alfari will ever be able to 1v9 just based off a lead he gets from one of these rookie top laners. I think they are good enough to deal with that. Now, come to Worlds, might be a different story. We'll have to see. But I think talent will start to rise as teams are showing more willingness to go with rookies over veterans. So the way the LCS has shifted this split and the amount of rookies they put in is an absolute amazing thing for the future of LCS.
I agree.
Because before, I don't even remember what split it was. I think it was like the split contracts was a rookie, right? Contracts won rookie of the split, not because he played better than every other rookie, because he was the only rookie.
Yep.
In 10 teams, 50 players, there was one rookie.
That's the way it's been for.
And it's been like that split after split after split.
Yeah.
Even last year, I mean, how many rookies did we have
Like-
last year? Like Johnson, Tactical came in.
Yeah.
Like,
two.
yeah.
I think
Are-
though it has to start with the top teams.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Golden Guardians, we already talked about them. The team full of rookies.
Request.
Yeah,
Full of rookies.
they're not really
Immortals.
Golden Guardians.
kind of.
They're not starting any trends by picking up these rookies.
Yeah. But, well, my point is if you're a really good player at League of Legends, you can either take the streaming route and you're going to have tons of viewers and you're going to make money and you're going to entertain people, or you can go into professional. But if you're looking at professional league and academy, you're not going to make as much in academy as you are streaming. You're going to make more streaming. So your only options are to go to academy and hope you play good enough that maybe you can be that one rookie that gets a chance, or you go stream. What are you going to do? You're going to go to stream. And that's where a lot of talent has been going the past couple years. They've been going that direction. But you start showing, even if you're on Golden Guardians and you're a 10th place team, you're getting paid professionally more than you're going to get on Academy. You're getting paid a rate at which is probably better than you're going to make streaming.
Yeah.
And you're getting an opportunity on stage so that in the future, maybe Niles didn't do well this time. But say, I don't know, down in the future, maybe he gets a little better, and a team like, I don't know, Evil Geniuses, Impact retires, they need a top laner. They could go with the young Niles, who's had some playing experience now, over someone else.
Chance to prove yourself.
Yeah.
Even on the 10th place team, you can prove yourself. You can lose every game and still look fantastic.
I'll
Yeah.
say though, Niles did not prove himself.
No, obviously.
Niles didn't, but the
But,
point,
like,
I mean,
the point still stands.
Exposure, yeah,
stands.
exposure is so much better, and they weren't getting that these past couple of years, and so I don't think we're seeing NA's best talents. I think NA's best talents have been suppressed by the fact that NA didn't want to take a chance on NA talent.
yeah, I agree.
Speaking about that, do you want to talk about the import rule at all?
We can. Let's talk about it. Don't change the import
Don't
rule.
change the import rule.
Don't change the import rule. I think we're all in
I think
agreement.
we're all in agreement there.
I don't think there's any chance they do it.
No.
No.
As
No
a fan,
player-
I don't want to see it, and
No player wants it, especially the NA teams, NA players. They don't want it. the only real people who want it are CEOs because cheaper, better players, maybe, but
Imagine the value. Like if they change it, the value of every NA player just tanks.
Yeah,
oh, 100%.
100%.
100%.
Like
You completely ruin.
the players literally just watch their worth go
Well,
way down.
and the whole thing is, it took them this long to work up to where we have this many rookies in the league. It took them this long, and you could throw that all away with one change of a rule.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then they would notice, like, nothing would change. It'd be more of the same thing, and
Yeah, LCS has a lot of problems that isn't the import rule.
yeah.
And there are a lot of things you could tackle, and I'm not sure that unless you tackle those, then switching the import
And
rule is probably not going to matter.
That's one thing that everyone was getting on to Reggie about. I don't know, like, if you followed his Twitter
Yeah,
and
his
stuff.
Rants.
But, like, he even pointed out, he was like, we got so many problems, like, ping's a problem, management's a problem, blah, 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 blah. And everyone was like, okay, then why aren't you pushing to get those issues fixed? Why are you pushing to get the import rule changed when you can be like, hey, how about we make another server or something to get our players a better environment to improve?
I mean, yeah, just make it NA East, NA West.
Yeah, NA East, NA West.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. Anyway, how about we talk about playoffs?
Yeah, we can move into playoffs here. Before we move into playoffs, do you guys see biggest free agents on the sheet?
Right.
Can you guys direct yourself to the very bottom one?
I saw that. It says
What do you guys
my
feel
name.
about that? Do you guys feel like Nubbeth could make a splash in the league?
I feel like he could. I feel like he started out as a mid laner. Recently been playing AD carry and killing it. He's known for his Azir, but
Zero, one trick. Diana one trick.
known for being a Diana one trick. And playing a lot of Azir
half a season.
for half a season, yeah. And but recently he's been
AD carry.
recently he's been focusing on his AD carry role and been killing it.
Been killing it for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, I think if you bring him in the league, you probably need to bring the duo. I think it works best.
You got to bring in the bottom lane. I got to shout out Nubbeth's duo lane, Nook Shasty, aka the Brad Man.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if you're gonna bring them in, you might as well throw in the top laner. He's kind of a smurf when it comes to farming.
Why don't we just add a new team to LCS?
Add a new team.
Call him. What do we call him? The Wombo combo.
Exactly. WC.
Real original. All right, so let's get into playoffs here. Do you guys want to do the easier one first, or the one that happens first?
Let's do the one that happens first.
Okay. So,
more hype one.
I. Now, this is going to be a little weird because I know you're both TSM fanboys.
I'll be unbiased.
How I want this to be. Let's just do it this way. Heads or tails, Brandon?
Tails.
Tails. You lost, Brandon. You'll be defending TL and telling us how TL is going to win. And Trevor, you take on TSM. And we're going to start with an overview. I'll give an overview here. TSM versus TL, going to be the first playoff match. They are tied in record at 12-6. As far as back half of record, Team Liquid boasts a better record by one game at 7-2, while TSM hosts a 6-3. Now, while Team Liquid has stronger momentum coming into playoffs, they do, however, have an 0-2 record versus TSM on the season and have not been able to figure out how to play against the TSM. Team Liquid is on a 3-game win streak and looks to improve after winning the lock-in tournament, and they are going for first place here. So, going right in, Trevor, how does TSM keep that 2-0 streak going versus Team Liquid?
I think it's easy. Obviously, you just got to put Power of Evil on what he's comfortable with. Control mages, what he's been playing all split.
Put him on Syndra and give tactical Tristana.
Yeah, have
Brand,
tactical into Power of Evil twice in a row.
you can't give points for TSM, bro.
It was a joke. It was a joke.
No, but like I definitely see, Power of Evil is very strong on these carries. I almost guarantee, 100%, I'll say, Team Liquid is going to ban Azir all 3 games.
That's a guarantee, boys. You can come back and check that out.
Notice I said 3 games too.
That is a nubbeth guarantee. And here at the Wombo Combo, we take guarantees very seriously. And we actually have a forfeit. For any time someone makes a guarantee and loses, they have to lick a wall. And we don't have cams on for this first episode, but as soon as we do, we're going to start implementing that. So any guarantee made from here on out in the podcast will be met with a forfeit if wrong.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, I think this is going to be a pretty close series. I think TSM and Team Liquid are very evenly matched in almost every single role. I'd give the edge to Alfari, but I think he's done pretty well playing against them. Like, he went 2-1-3 against Alfari and in one game, and in the other he went 2-1-9 as, just tanks in the top lane.
I think that that's very easy to keep him in check when you have someone as skilled as Huni. And I think that's a very big point that TSM has in favor, is how well Huni has been playing.
And I was very skeptical with the Huni pickup.
I was as well.
He has always been a coin flip player, but he's shown that he doesn't really need, all the resources to
he's
play
come
well.
back in a big way. And I think being on a team like TSM, a high caliber team that doesn't necessarily allow people to int. We'll say it like that. TSM doesn't seem like a team that would allow him to int game after game. It seemed to have done well for him. He has played more for a team. He has laid back, and he's definitely, in my book, the best weak side player in North America right now.
Oh, 100%. So
Yeah.
I think you put the focus back on bot lane for TSM. It's been a very strong point once they get ahead. Like, Lost has performed so good this split. And like I said, I think it's a very even matchup. Sword Art has came out and said, Core JJ is his number one rival in this. And I think Lost and Tactical, both being kind of rookies out of Academy, are on they're the same, pretty much the same team in my eyes. It's a very strong support, rookie mid, very strong mid laner. Farming
rookie
jungle.
80 carry.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What did I say?
Mid.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Very strong mid laners. Power of Evil and Jensen. Like, Jensen's always,
Both pretty much play the same play style too. They like to
and you know the meme. Oh, Jensen's never going to be top mid in the league.
Yeah.
But he has played pretty well. Obviously.
But he still did not get the crown.
He didn't. No. I don't. Bjergsen came out and someone else took it.
Yeah. I think TSM's main win condition is bot this game.
Oh, 100%. Get them ahead.
Power
of Evil's gonna do what he does. He's gonna farm. He's gonna TP to bot lane, get a quadra kill, and then go back and just run the lane.
Tactical has played his worst split so far. For some reason, recently he has forgotten how to position as at the 80 carry position. And Core JJ is running amok trying to deal with his rants at 80 carry, and he just doesn't know what to do now.
I wouldn't look at that far. I will agree.
But
I
now
don't think
listen,
been playing as well, but I would still put him and Core JJ
Well, that's what I'm saying. Even with all that's happening, TL has come to have the second best record in the league, and there is reasons for that. And my boy Brad here is going to explain how they can beat TSM,
Yeah, I mean, I got a few
even with
points.
a bot that is inting.
Got a few points. I mean, number one, their early game is, I think, by far the best early game team. I mean, they they have a 66% first blood rate, and they get ahead. Their goal differential at 15, the average is like 2K. And when they're ahead at 15, they have a 75% win rate. They get ahead in pretty much, I mean, most of their games. They're a very early game team, and once they get ahead, they usually just they run away with the game. Um, Obviously the TSM game with um, wait, never mind. I'm thinking of the Cloud9 TSM game. But anyway, the TSM game where Tactical inted into Syndra, that, I mean, if Tactical doesn't do that, then they might end up winning that game. I
It's
mean,
fixable. That's a
yeah,
mistake that's
right,
fixed.
Yeah, that's
right.
fixable.
But even with his poor positioning, I would still put their bot lane as uh, you know, definitely top 5, probably even closer to top 3.
I still put him top 4,
Yeah,
3 on
yeah,
a good day. I put him top 3 on a good day.
right. And I don't think that Tactical's been looking bad in every game. I think there are definitely spots this split where he has looked, um, I mean, definitely worse. He's definitely had a worse split than he had last year. But even with that, I mean, to say that they can't compete with Sword Art Lost is, I mean, an overstatement. I honestly think the bot lane is just going to be whoever shows up, right? I mean, I think the lane is very comparable. I mean the supports do the same thing, really. They both like to roam. They both
Yeah, but
like
who's
to
better at it?
um. I guess the easy answer is Core JJ because he's been um. I mean, not lost. Sword Art has been good. I'm not, but the beginning of the split he was a little shaky. He wasn't quite as good, and he's definitely started. I mean, he's definitely gotten a lot better, but I mean, it's Core JJ.
Yeah, the world champion, dude. You always got to go with the world champion versus the world runner
Finals.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, but
obviously.
bot lane aside, I mean, Alfari is played insane. He's literally up for MVP. I mean, the best top laner in the league, and I agree. Huni is definitely comparable, and Huni's great at playing weak side. But I mean, if they play through top side and they get Alfari ahead, then I mean, I think it's looking pretty good. I think mid lane is probably even. I mean, Jensen, Tower of Evil, they've been playing against each other for a long time, and I think that they know how to play against each other, and I don't see either mid laner running away from the game without jungler interference.
Hmm.
I think jungle. I mean, I think Centauran might be a little bit better than Spica, but
Can't beat the
it,
Smite God.
Yeah,
right.
I
It,
yeah.
it's still comparable. It's not a huge margin. I think Liquid's biggest advantage is definitely top lane, and I mean, even then, I don't think it's a huge advantage. I mean, I think the series is gonna be extremely close,
One of
at
the
least
close.
at least on paper. Now, obviously, one team can show up and the other team can't show up, but
Yeah,
um, I mean, TSM is better at late game. Liquid's better early game. So it's really just uh, you know, if Liquid gets super far ahead early, then most likely they'll be able to convert. They do in most of their games. So the question is, can TSM hold off the early game? Because statistically, TSM is not that great early game. That's one of the things that they have not looked great in is the early game. But mid to late game, they've looked fantastic in most of the games they
yeah.
played. But
Both teams highlight the other team's weakness as it is their strength. TSM's weak early game. TL has the best early game in the league. TL has a bad late game. TSM probably has the best late game in the league.
Yeah.
So it's really, honestly, in my opinion, this is the most coin flip, hard to call playoff matchup we have LCS has had. And maybe that's just recency bias, and I can't remember something as close as this. But for me, it's the toughest one.
But,
For my key
I mean,
matchups on this, I just have bot lane. And I think this game is won with the bot lane. I feel like both teams have similar playstyles, and both teams have AD carries that can pop off. And I feel like whichever bot lane comes ahead in the game is gonna win.
I would like to go off the early game thing that Brandon was talking about. Um, in the early game for the last time they played, Team Liquid gets first blood, first turret, Mountain Soul, still loses the game.
They do, yeah, and that's exactly what. If Team Liquid cannot close out versus TSM, I give TSM the I give them the win. But the problem is, TL's they have got a lot of their mistakes closing out games fixed now that the split's gone through, and they're playing a lot better at closing out games. So I do think Team Liquid got better since last time TSM played them, and I think TSM probably got better. The question is, which one got better at their strengths? Got as much better as they needed.
At their strengths or weaknesses?
At their strengths here. Well, at their weaknesses is what I'm talking about. Which team really solidified their weaknesses? Did TSM fix their early game woes enough to where they're not going to get hard stomped early and they can make it to the late game when they're strong? Or did TL fix their closing out games so they're not even going to have to worry about TSM making it to late game because they're just going to snowball that lead and just take the 25-minute victory? And I think that's what it comes down to. Which team has improved on their weakness the most?
I'm just excited to see the best of 5 series between the
Yeah,
teams.
I'm super excited. This one, I mean,
This
it's
one's gonna be super hype. I'm super excited.
I'd love to hear your guys' predictions for this series, though, considering how close we've determined we all think it's going to be.
Yes. So I'm actually predicting off of you guys' take. That's why I did that. I wanted to
Predicting off our take.
get a feel. I wanted you guys to convince me, and from the convincing, I'm going to have to go with TSM 3-2. No offense to you, Brand, but you should have hammered more on the.
I will have to say, even though TSM has the more recent loss, their last 2 games did look pretty dominant.
Yeah.
That being said, my prediction is TSM 3-1.
3-1. Brand, you are free to predict the way you want now. You don't have to favor Team Liquid.
Well, as much as I'd like to. As much as I'd like to predict TSM is going to win, I actually think Liquid is going to win.
3-2, 3-1.
Bias aside, I think I am more confident that Liquid is going to get ahead early, and I'm hoping it's 3-2. I hope it's 3-2. I want it to go to 5 either way. Well, actually, I prefer TSM 3-0, but it'd be nice to watch 5 games, and I don't know. I'm more confident that Liquid can close out when they get ahead. I mean, even the TSM win against them. I mean, if Tactical doesn't int into Syndra twice in a row, I mean, that game could be completely different. So I don't know. I mean, if that's I'm more confident in Liquid being able to close out when they get a lead than I am.
So what do you got?
TSM.
TO 3-2.
Probably 3-2.
Wait, hold on. I do have to say, I didn't take in effect Speaker's tweet. He tweeted,
right.
There's a losers bracket. might mess around and go 0-3
It's
to
around to
tee out
go
first
3 again.
round. So take that into account, I
Yeah.
guess.
And either way, I mean, there is a losers
Yeah.
bracket, so the team won't be out, you know, win or
Um.
lose.
Okay.
As a TSM fan, though, I cannot take another losers
No,
bracket run. 5
no.
games, almost every series. I can't take that again.
And
Um.
some of those series were like best of 5. They were like reverse sweeps, and oh my gosh, dude, I couldn't take it.
All right. So for the other series, who wants to debate? Who wants to mediate?
I mean, I don't want to mediate. I'm gonna hear Dakota debate for 100 Thieves.
All right. If you're mediating, you your choice. Okay. So Trevor versus me. I'm going for
Yeah,
100 Thieves.
sure. I mean, I think the easy one for you would be going for Cloud9.
It would be.
Well, it would be the easy one for anyone, right? Because it's Cloud9.
It's
That would
Cloud9.
But
be especially easy for me because I've watched
especially for
so
you.
much content.
Yeah, because. But yeah, go ahead,
Okay.
Dakota. We'll start with the
We'll start with me. Okay.
yeah, the dark horse,
The dark horse.
right?
The
Isn't that
dark horse in this game not only is 100 Thieves the underdogs, but it is the man, the myth, the legend, FBI. And let me tell you, boys, FBI is by far the best AD carry in the league, and it's not close. It's not. He has
the best in the league? Not close.
not close, not close. He is the
Okay.
only AD carry I'm confident who could play with any support in the league and still come out ahead. I'm 100% confident because if you watch their games, Huhi is not the most dominant support. He is really good at roaming, and he is really
Right.
good in team fights and shot calling. But if you look in lane, FBI is 1v2ing a lot of the time, and he is still coming out ahead in gold and experience. He has one of the lowest support proximities in the league, and he has a plus 191 gold difference and 164 XP difference at 10 minutes. That's outrageous. This kid is probably the future AD carry of the LCS. He's the not. I wouldn't call him double lift because he doesn't play like double lift. He is a much different player, but
Kind of
I
plays
think he's
like
definitely the future.
well, I was gonna say kind of like sneaky, right?
Yeah, some ways.
Because I think the thing about Sneaky was that Sneaky was always. I mean, he was never like this flashy like show buddy AD carry, but he was always very solid.
Yeah,
I mean, you would never say that he's like double lift and he would make these like super flashy plays all the time, but you would constantly see him ahead or at least even like he was never a liability.
hmm
Whereas yeah, some of those players like double lift wild turtle, they're either they're playing really well, which I think is most of the time, but then there are games where they flash into the enemy team, and they so yeah, I agree. I think FBI has been looking really, really well.
and then you combo the amazing performance by this guy with the fact that you are going to win top lane. You have someday. It is almost inevitable. I think the only lane he has lost, he only lost 2 times to was Alfari. As far as in lane stats. Other than that, I think he smashed every other top laner in farm and XP.
Something that doesn't play weak side though, does he?
He can.
But most of the time,
I don't think they like playing around him weak side because I think him playing strong side helps get him and closer ahead, which is a playstyle they like to play.
I mean,
They
with
like to
11
play
games on Renekton, you're definitely not playing weak side.
Yeah, they
Right.
like to play bot weak side, and because their
Right.
bot lane, and that's another thing about this bot lane, they're getting leads every game playing weak side. And yes, early they did all these dives to get them ahead and stuff with their crazy plays with Demonte. But even late, when they weren't doing those, their bot lane was winning. So you have a top laner that can exploit fudge, get a lead, and as long as he is ahead, closer is not going to be pressured like he should be from Blabber, because someday can hold it, even though you expect Perks to beat Ryoma, which I'm assuming is who's playing.
Yeah.
If you look at Ryoma, he is one of those. He's another one of those mids who is middle of the pack, but he is not someone who's going to get ran over. He has one of the highest damage percentages from the mid lane. He's always good at putting consistent damage. He might not be someone who can solo kill their lane a bunch of times and roam around and absolutely 1v9. But he's a guy, I would most compare him to later stage career of Froggen. Froggen was a guy in the late stage of his career where maybe he couldn't 1v9, but he put up great numbers as far as damage. Even though he might not have the flashiest of score lines, he helps the team by poking someone out and just knowing what his role is on the team. And I feel like Ryoma is a lot like that.
Yeah.
He might not be flashy, but he is good at playing control mages and doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Put out some damage, zone some people out, and do that. So I don't think there is any lane that Cloud9 can exploit enough to take the victory. I feel like...
What about the jungle?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that Blabber can run over this game if all the lanes are... I'm assuming top's going to be ahead, mid's going to be slightly behind / even, and bot's going to be behind. And so with that, I don't think Blabber's going to have the free roam that he's been able to get against most teams this year. I feel like 100 Thieves has primed themselves, even though it was a little risky to take that move late into the season. They have primed themselves to build around their strongest point in FBI. They have people that can set him up and carry. Closer is going to be a different level of jungler, all right? I think, without a doubt, Closer has the skill to match Blabber. I don't think he's shown his best in North America, and I feel like he can 1v9 games. And if you take all that in consideration, I think they squeeze by Cloud9, who's on a bit of a slump, who hasn't looked well lately, and hasn't hit their identity yet. I think Cloud9's a summer split team, and I think that 100 Thieves goes with momentum here in their early wins, and they get back to what they were doing best, which is controlling the game, making teams play at their pace, and having FBI absolutely smurf on other teams.
Let me ask you this: Do you think they'd look better if they put Demonte in? I know you talked about how Ryoma was.
That's exactly what I have in my notes here. I don't think the team gets better based specifically on who plays mid. I think the team plays very well when they have the right identity. I think this past week showed that they can play really well with Ryoma. I think they've had some really good games this past weekend, but they have to play to the identity of the mid laner they're playing in. And I feel like they can be very successful with Ryoma as long as they play like they're playing with Ryoma and not Demonte. So I don't think it makes a difference.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they have a chance against Cloud9. I don't know that I would give them the advantage, but those are really good arguments. What do you think, Trevor?
Okay, so first thing, I just want to disagree with you. As we saw from last split, C9 is not a summer split team.
This is a different C9 though.
And you said that they haven't hit their stride yet, right? They're Cloud9. You said Cloud9. Yeah. They're
for sure
first place.
They are
undisputed first place in the league for a reason. Like they are they're pretty much on another level in my opinion, from 100 Thieves. And I think that really comes from the difference in the jungle. Blabber is the undisputed best jungler in the league right now. I'd argue that he's the best jungler, the best NA jungler that has ever been. You know, he rarely ever gets behind, if ever. I will agree with you that, you know, Someday does have the advantage over Fudge, but I have to say, it seems that Someday and, you know, their carry, Someday and FBI, like you said, they seem to be very bannable. Like I said, 11 games on Renekton for Someday, 12 games on Kai'Sa for FBI. The next closest for FBI is Aphelios and Zaya and Tristana, all tied with 3 games. And then the next for Someday is Aatrox. Well, if you look at C9's champion pool, Fudge has played 15 different champions this split. Perks has played 15 different champions this split. Vulcan has played 14 different champions this split. And Sven and Blabber have both played 10 champions each this split. So
their champion pools are
a
lot wider.
They're a whole lot wider than 100 Thieves is. And it's going to be very simple to ban out 100 Thieves. What 100 Thieves is looking to do. They're 100 Thieves is definitely going to be looking for a aggressive top laner. And even overall, the bans by Cloud9, they ban Renekton 57% of the time. So I think that's 100% going to go through against... it's going to get banned against 100 Thieves when they're looking for this aggressive top laner. Following that, 46% of the time banned is the Camille, another powerful laner in the top lane. I just don't think I don't think Someday is gonna stomp Fudge as hard as you're saying. I think he does have an advantage, but I don't think Someday Closer as a package is better than Blabber and Fudge. I think Blabber is that much better than Closer at the jungle. Blabber runs around and literally does whatever he wants to in the jungle. And Perks is going to be ahead because Perks, like, his Tristana game, he had what, like 16 kills? He literally 1v9'd that game.
But he also has some pretty bad games this split. I mean, there are some games. I mean, there's that one game that they should have won where he was top lane victor for. I mean, he got caught out many times. I will agree that Perks is a great player and on paper he's fantastic, but I think there are some games where his play has been a little iffy.
I think
I agree.
That goes with like where you are in the map in the mid game is really just shot calling, and I think, you know, they obviously need to work on not getting picked. You know, Perks did get picked quite a bit in that game versus TSM, but then again, TSM was fighting hard for everything they were getting there. They were roaming together. They played really well, and you know, I don't think that game was just C9 messing up. TSM played extremely well from behind. They took everything they could get. So I don't think that's quite fair. Like, yes, you shouldn't get called out. But I'd say 98% of the time, Perks doesn't play like that. He plays this aggressive style that I'd be willing to say that Perks is pretty highly likely to solo kill Ryoma at least once in the series. In lane. And
if it would be Demonte, I'd say yes, but it's Ryoma, dude.
They are the same on the same skill level.
Is that another Nubbeth guarantee?
No, I'm not giving those out all willy nilly.
No, not if he has to lick a wall.
Oh. Okay, well, talk to me about bot lane then. You talked to me about mid and top. Well, how do you think Cloud9's bot lane fares versus the best player on 100 Thieves?
I'd say Sven Vulcan isn't that far behind, FBI. This what Dakota has been praising, this player that
Do
is
you
their
do you
carry.
think do you think they are behind? Do you agree that FBI is the best AD in the league?
He's been looking good. I have to say, but I wouldn't put him top three maybe. Like Sven is just like a force to be reckoned with. Like Sven Vulcan, in my mind, has always been this strong bot
Where-
lane.
What?
I
Why is
think,
FBI the only player on player stats?
yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. I went to look at player
I,
stats.
I filtered it, boys. You have to unfilter it.
How do you do that?
There you go.
Oh,
Okay,
there we
thank
go. There's our stats. I was
It's
just
like-
making stuff
Like,
up.
well, it seems like
Not really.
FBI's the only player in the LCS, so I guess they
You
just
guys, you guys need to learn how to work filters. Anyway,
I don't think that if FBI is better than Sven, I don't think it's by a significant margin to matter. I think bot lane is going to go even towards Sven and Vulcan.
Wait, that's actually troll. Never mind.
What?
Yeah, no, I don't agree with anything you're saying. I'm 100% with 100 Thieves.
okay, so Trevor, you're saying that top jungle duo would be how Cloud9 gets ahead.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say once you get Blabber ahead and play around Blabber as a team, and just don't make stupid mistakes, like getting called out. Like that's a stupid mistake that shouldn't happen. And I think that's something that they definitely fixed.
So predictions?
Go ahead,
Based off
Trevor.
on that. Based off that, Bran, what are you going?
I mean, based off the arguments,
It's
Yeah,
hard.
based off arguments alone.
It's hard not to put C9 going through.
yeah, I mean, based off arguments, I mean, I think you both make great arguments. If we're going purely off arguments, I might say Dakota was better, but it's so hard to say. Go against.
So the
Cloud9.
arguments didn't sway you at all? You're still going Cloud9? What?
I mean,
Look, Dakota, you were fighting an uphill battle. I applaud your efforts.
No,
yeah,
I didn't
I agree
believe-
with some stuff.
I
you're
didn't believe
saying.
anything I
think
said.
Someday is a good top laner, but I mean,
Fudge isn't bad.
Fudge
isn't
So
bad.
So a couple places I would have came back at me, Trevor. One is Fudge. Fudge actually has the second highest KDA in the league right now.
I couldn't see that.
Yeah, he actually
Filter.
he's actually a monster. And he's been playing weak side. And I don't know how much you watched the broadcast. Freak actually has him above Hooney as best weak side player in North America.
Really?
Yeah, he put him number 2 in top lane rankings.
Look, there you go, Trevor. You see that?
So that one, I don't know if someday can actually smurf that lane because I feel like closer might be behind there. And then another one you could have came back is Sven actually has better numbers than FBI if you look at him.
I couldn't look at him. I don't know how to work this thing.
He has a better KD.
Okay, so at
and
the very
stuff.
top, at the very top next to player Trevor, there's a little pyramid thing.
God.
I do
Click on-
still
click on
believe
that.
in what I said with FBI being the best AD,
Okay, I see,
but
I see.
don't think the gap between him and Sven is big enough for.
No, yeah, absolutely not.
And
Yeah,
I still think Vulcan's better than Hui.
I think Vulcan's the best support in the league, in my opinion, but that might be biased, so I'm not gonna say that.
I don't know. I think it's hard to put Vulcan above.
A realistic prediction for me: 3-1 Cloud9. I think they drop one. I mean,
think that's safe to say.
realistic. I think they could go 3-0
I
easily,
think,
but I think they
drop
might
the
troll
first
first
game.
game. Yeah, first game
drop
they
first
always
game
do
and then
for him.
the next three.
Based off what my own thoughts, I would agree 3-1. But just to be different from you guys, I'm gonna go 3-0 Cloud9.
The sweep.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's hard to go against Cloud9. I mean,
it is.
they're statistically the most dominant team. I mean,
Some parts I actually do believe what I said with 100 Thieves. I do think they're in a better spot than they were a couple weeks ago.
yeah,
Oh yeah, they're definitely a whole lot better than they were.
But
and they're still a very strong team. I mean,
it's just hard. I don't feel like stylistically, I just don't feel like they create advantages versus Cloud9 very well because I feel like they're a B tier version of Team Liquid. They have really strong early games with map movement and crazy plays, and they get ahead because their top lane gets a lead and their bot lane gets a lead, which is a lot like what Team Liquid does. Problem is they don't do it as well as Team Liquid. And I just don't think they match up very well versus Cloud9. I think they actually match up pretty well against Liquid because I think Closer is really good at keeping Santorin in check, which takes away a lot of Team Liquid's early game. And obviously Someday doesn't get smashed by Alfari,
Right.
and I think the bot lane does better.
Yeah, it's hard to keep Blabber in check though.
It is. And
I mean,
that's
he's
actually another thing.
up for MVP. So
Yeah, he actually
That's
solo
something to look
killed Closer like twice in their last time they faced each other. So
Yeah.
it's going to be an uphill battle for 100 Thieves for sure.
Yeah,
But
I think that they can win. I don't
yeah,
think,
it's not out of their own possibilities. I think
No.
they definitely.
and I can definitely see it. I think 100 Thieves is a very good team. They're definitely deserve to be top 4.
Speaking of
So-
100 Thieves, I just want to go into this right quick on them. If they lose the first series, and then they lose off in the losers bracket, either the first game or the second round, do you think they should make a swap mid and go for someone who's more consistent at all?
Okay, so who do we have? Who's free agent mid right now?
Well, they can either keep their Nobis. They can either keep Demonte or they can keep. Who do they go with mid? Is what I'm asking. Not do you think they change? They can keep Demonte Rioma, and I have on here a solid fit. Might be RJS. He played very. He didn't shot call well, and he didn't make good decisions. Maybe in his time with COG, but he played very well. As far as uh, getting advantages, actually. Even though he's a rookie, I feel like he got a lot of advantages, and I feel like that could be an option for them. Since they have a good veteran presence and they get leads elsewhere, they don't have to rely on mid. And if you have a guy who can be like someone who can create farm leads and create a little bit of pressure mid, they can definitely work with that.
I think. I mean, I think I want to say Demonte, but if it's so meta dependent, then maybe Demonte isn't the right call. You know.
I don't think Demonte's the right call.
I mean, I think Demonte is very good, and he looked really good when they were playing that
That's
style that they had. But
me.
if they're going to be so bound by the meta, and they're not going to play that style when that style is not in, I mean, you probably want to play someone who's better at all kinds of plays. And I think Ryoma can do everything. I mean, he could play the TF. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say probably just if they lose out in like the next 2 series, I say just keep Ryoma in.
Yeah, I'm saying Ryoma because honestly, DeMonte is really good when teams focus on his playstyle, but no
Right.
team is willing to do that.
That's the
Especially
caveat
with
for
a
me,
player.
man. I think.
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
And the thing is, I don't necessarily blame the team though, because you never want to solely base your playstyle around someone who doesn't even get leads on their own. Like, I don't think DeMonte is a top 5 mid laner as far as just him skill level wise. So it's really hard for you to say, let's build around this player because he can make our team better, but he's also never going to be able to win lane.
Yeah. I was gonna
Ash
say maybe
hates me
put
still.
Demonte in, but if you're gonna put Demonte in, you got to go all in on the style, right? I mean, you gotta commit to playing that way. And if the meta shifts, then you gotta come up with some unique picks that you could play.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's probably a lot safer to play something like Rioma because while I think they looked really well playing the style that Demonte like catered to, um, if it's so dependent on the meta and he cannot play these control mages, which I don't think he looked terrible on them, but if they're saying that Ryoma is better with the control mages, I mean, how often? I mean, control mages have been like
Control
meta
mages are
for
never not going to be meta. You can
yeah,
always
Yeah.
play
they've
them.
been meta for years now. I mean, maybe assassins come back with the recent healing
But
changes,
even then, even
but
when assassins are strong, you still have control majors coming out. They just have different build paths.
right.
Like,
So I think Ryoma is a lot safer. And last split maybe I would say Demonte's better anyway because Ryoma had he didn't look amazing, but the games that I've seen him play this split, he's looked pretty good. I
yeah,
mean, so maybe just stick with him, and if not him, then maybe try someone else. But I mean, I think keeping Ryoman might be the best call. Not
for
I
sure.
mean, but honestly, I'm not sure that it matters completely. I don't think mid is the strong suit of that team anyway.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
what that's basically what I'm saying. I don't think it much matters. I do think Rioma is better. I think Rioma RJS are better fits because I think this team is really good at both the other lanes getting ahead, and um,
Yeah, they just need someone who doesn't get stomped in lane.
yeah, and that was the problem. Like, yeah, he might have been able to play some of the control mages and done well late game, but like, look at the game versus Cloud9 when Perk solo killed him twice. He was worse than useless that game. Like, it just feels like if Demonte can't get XP and like get if he can't get any value out of Roman, then he's just screwed because he's so far down.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah, I agree.
if he's not able to play Galio and go ult bot and get assists,
What's he doing?
then he's still 30 CS down in lane, and he just doesn't have the XP of assists. So
what he needs to do. Listen, who he is on that team, he needs to sit down with Hui and just have Hui teach him how to play ASOL. The roaming,
there you go. Good
the
lord, dude. I
roaming
think
king.
ASOL might be the least played champion in the game right now.
Yeah.
I
But you
believe
have
it.
Hui on the team. Hui can teach you how to play him. And he does the same thing Galio does. Well, not the same thing, but roams.
He's a better Galio, dude. He's got stars.
Yeah. I mean,
5.
fits
Okay.
the play style.
Trevor actually used to main ASOL
Tried to, yeah.
for a week or something like
I
that.
tried to. I was not into it at
I don't
all.
I
Nope.
don't think he's very good,
No.
but he's one of those picks that would definitely throw people off,
Yeah.
I mean,
Just I think they have the same problem with EG has. It's just consistency. If you pull consistency with that team, they could be top 4, the top 3 contending for worlds um, every split. But it's so coin flippy. Like, there are parts of the split where, like at the beginning, I thought they were the best team in the league, and then parts in the middle where I thought they were top 4, but they could be better. And then near the end there, when they hit their slump, I felt like that team wasn't even top 6. I felt like Immortals could have beat them easily. Now they've kind of risen back up when they put Rioma back in, and they started. The first week with Rioma looked kind of shaky, and everyone was like, "Well, that was a stupid decision. You should have kept Demonte in." And I think they were too quick to judge because I think this past week with Rioma, they found a good spot where they could still make early game plays, but they didn't have to sacrifice their mid lane to make them. They didn't have to put their mid laner down and expect him just to be okay with it.
Yeah.
And so I feel like with that style, they can build and they can definitely be a world's contending team, like to go to worlds, not to win worlds. But
You heard it first from the Wombo combo. 100
yeah,
Thieves is
no,
the next world
Thieves,
champion.
next
no,
world
no.
champion.
But yeah,
Okay, let me ask you a question. This is an important one.
okay.
What champions do you think they're going to pick when they win Worlds?
When 100 Thieves, well, let's see. You got
Renekton,
Someday, so
obviously.
Renekton, Closer, Hecarim.
Dude, Silas for Ryoma. He played well on Silas.
No, he's gonna pick Syndra,
What?
dude. That's his most played champion, I think.
Oh, yeah, everyone plays Syndra, though.
FBI, Kaisa, if the meta
100%.
doesn't shift. Huhi is, dude. It's got to be that Rel, dude. I think he's
No.
he's one of the
Aesol.
nastiest Rels.
Yeah,
Aesol.
who he's gonna pick Aurelion Sol if he?
I don't
Doesn't
think
matter who
so.
plays him. He just picks Aesol.
No,
His
I don't think
signature.
so. I think he picks Rel, dude.
Oh, yeah. I hope Rel stays in the meta. She's a fun champion to play.
Because I think the rule is you have to play a champion once during World Champions to pick it though.
I don't know.
So unless he
So-
plays Asol, like I don't think he can.
Could be good, dude. Anyway,
So that's that.
Yeah,
You guys want to
so
talk about
final-
MVP?
yeah. So I guess final predictions was 3-1. I mean, everyone predicted Cloud9, so
Yeah, I think it was all 3-1.
I kind of hope it goes more than 4 games, but maybe.
I don't. I'd be stressed out if it went more than 4 games. Honestly, that's a lot.
I want to see 100 Thieves challenge Cloud9. I really do. I don't want to see Cloud9 like look bad, but I'd like to see 100 Thieves kind of play up to Cloud9's level. I think it would be really cool. I think, you know, it would really attest to how close this split actually kind of is. You know, I mean,
Dang, dude, if Cloud9 looks shaky, it's gonna be really weird to have a debate
Right.
where the first place team is the underdog coming into the next series.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd like for 100 Thieves to play really well, not Cloud9 play bad.
Yeah.
But realistically, I think Cloud9 definitely have it in the bag. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, we can talk about MVP.
I don't know when they vote on this, but MVP.
They're sort of.
I'm
not sure when.
I
they
have
vote, but-
one candidate from each team here. I just put the top one. TSM's a little shaky. I know you could put Power Revo there. I put Sword Art, and I'll explain why. I'm just gonna run through the list right quick. Just for the playoff teams, I have Alfari, Blabber, Sword Art, Aphromoo, FBI, Impact. Those are for the playoff teams. I gave them one person apiece. I think the top two are Alfari, Blabber, obviously. I think they're both the best in their position. I think Sword Art has a good case because I feel like the success of the team relies on him and his playmaking. Aphromoo, same way. I feel like he took a team that should not have been that good, and he completely leveled up that team. And I feel like it's solely on the back of him and his work he's done with Neo this split. FBI I think he's the best AD carry. I think AD carry is an overpowered position right now, and so the best AD carry is definitely very valuable to the team.
Okay.
I put Impact because honestly, I don't see anyone from EG winning it, but I think he's been the best performing player from EG.
Okay. Yeah.
Going-
I mean,
Going straight in, my vote would be Blabber. Honestly, yeah, I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I think
No
I
beating
think.
that Bush.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's either Blabber or Alfari.
I put Blabber and Alfari second. And
Yeah. I honestly agree. I could go either way. I think both have looked phenomenal this split, and I think if it's not one of those two, then I would be surprised.
the reason-
honestly, I don't see how you just don't give it to Blabber.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Reason-
it probably
okay.
goes to Blabber.
So
I
my
probably
whole
vote Blabber
debate,
as well, but-
and a lot of people have Alfari. There's actually quite a few people that might put Alfari first. But my thing is, I don't think his success determines team success. They have so many other ways they win. In a lot of games, you see Alfari's not even the main carry. Like, Tactical will pop off and they'll win because of that. Jensen will pop off, they'll win because of that. And And Cloud9 also has those things, but like I just feel like two out of the 3 games every single weekend, you looked and you could literally say if they did not have Blabber, Cloud9 gets hard stomped that game.
You know what's wild?
What?
Alfari does not die a lot. Sorry, I just noticed that.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't.
He's only had 27 deaths.
Yeah,
Like
he has.
compared to everyone else, like Impact has 57 deaths.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's wild.
It is wild. I just feel like Blabber enables his team and is more valuable to his team than Alfari. And if you take the most valuable team player award, you take it as value to team. And I think if you replace Alfari with the second best top laner, whoever it may be, Hooney, if and Hooney's playing like he played the split, I don't think Team Liquid gets any worse. I feel like they're the same team.
Yeah.
If you take Blabber and replace him with the second best jungler, which is either Santorin or Closer or whoever, I don't think Cloud9 is first. I think they're third, maybe fourth even.
Yeah.
Blabber has shown the ability to outclass them farm-wise and knowing better routes. He has shown that he can outclass them in a 1v1 and multiple solo kills, which honestly does not happen that often from junglers. And he has shown that he has the most game knowledge I've ever seen come from a jungler. He just makes these crazy plays that, from an outside looking in, I'm like, I didn't even know that was a thing. Like, some of his pathings are ridiculous. He can clear so good, and then like was it the first game versus TSM they played him, and he flashed into the Camille thing.
Yeah.
That's such like a play that it doesn't look that flashy, honestly, when you're watching the game. But like, if you actually think about it, if I was that jungler there, I would have never thought to do that.
We actually saw Hooney return the favor against Golden Guardians.
Yeah, but I would have never thought to do that. I would have. He's playing Udyr. I would have let him go full extension. I would have tried to flash in the tower, and I probably either would traded 1-for-1 or I would have just died. But he has such quick reactions and such game knowledge that he knew to flash right there, and Hooney couldn't get away. He didn't have flash or anything, so he went for it.
I don't know if you saw, like, they put out the comms for that game, like, at that moment. Like, Blabber was running in. He was like, I'm going to flash at the wall.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like, that should have never been able to happen. That was a level 2 gank. He cleared one camp, and he did that. But, like, he's almost impossible to track, and he's so good at tracking the enemy jungler. I just feel like he's so much more valuable. Alfari has absolutely been smashing his opponents this split. But I just have a sour taste in my mouth because I watched so many Team Liquid games where he would be up 30-40 farm and they would still lose because he didn't impact the game enough. He would play on this island, he would isolate himself, and while getting that big of a lead is great, if you do nothing with it, I think that lead is nothing. I don't count that as a lead at all. At the end of the game, when your screen says defeat, I don't think that's a lead at all.
So,
and I feel like Blabber transitioned his lead so much better.
So it comes down to this. Alfari is marginally better than other top laners, whereas Blabber is leaps and bounds above any other jungler. Not comparable. There's nobody who could... Is there anybody even close to Blabber?
I feel like people want to put Santorin up there just because how good the team's done, but
I don't think Santorin's up there with Blabber.
I don't think he's done anything spectacular. Like,
yeah, I think I would agree. I think Blabber is, in my opinion, MVP. I mean, Alfari once again would be my second, and then beyond that, I don't even know.
I think I put Sword Art third, honestly.
Sword Art's good, but
well, okay. So a big a big argument was against Sword Art that he could not, like, he's not necessarily the best support in the league. And I would agree with that. I don't think every single game he's going to come out there and you're going to look at him and be like, okay, that's the best support in the league. I think some weeks it's Vulcan, some weeks it's Core JJ, you know? But I think what Sword Art brings to TSM is unmatched. He has an overwhelming presence in the game. And some games it's taken away because he tries to make these plays and he ends up inting and it just looks bad. And you're like, well, what is Sword Art doing there? But if you actually look at every part of TSM's games, you can tell that this is Sword Art setting this up. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, they'll do stuff that they should, like that game they came back versus Cloud9.
Right.
That game sticks in my mind as Sword Art hard carried. Because
that
every
one
single
play top
time,
lane.
yeah,
That
every
one
single
play top
time,
lane was
Cloud9
really good.
extended too far for a millisecond. Sword Art was behind them and flanking them and creating so much advantages.
It was
And it was
wild. It was
ridiculous.
into Morgana. He hooked into Morgana Black Shield
Yeah,
and then
Yeah.
ulted the
And then,
Caitlyn behind, and I was like, that was beautiful.
yeah.
I mean, he knew that when he hooked the Morgana, she Black Shield herself, and then it was a good play.
he
And
was
it
hard
doesn't look that
smurfing.
flashy, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I don't
great.
know if you guys remember what the casters were saying when Morgana was picked. They were like, "Yeah, Morgana's a fantastic pick here. One click and the
yeah.
Nautilus ult's gone." Well, we didn't really see that.
Black shielded the AD carry, even if he was the one in danger of dying, just because.
Better for him to die then.
Well,
But
he
yeah,
was blocked though.
yeah. But like, no, I mean, every part of that game, he was there. I think I don't know the numbers, but he had to have close to 100% KP because he was just there every time Cloud9 overstepped. He was there.
Mhm.
And so him, in my mind, he is so valuable to the success and the growth of TSM. I think you can put it all on him. I mean, obviously it's not. I think they had a really good coaching split. I think they got better as the split went on in drafts and everything. So, but I feel like he was a big part of their success. So I feel like he could be definitely third.
I didn't really follow Lost while he was in Academy, but I feel like he's given Lost a ton of confidence in the way that he plays.
Yeah, another one would be Aframu, is how ridiculous he played with Neo, and how many games they just smurfed on. But
They looked good. I mean, Neo looks really good.
yeah, the problem with that is, like, they'll be absolutely hard smurfing some games, and Neo got 17 kills that one game on Callisto or whatever,
Yeah, that's crazy.
which is freaking crazy. But then you go, let me look at their week to week games, and you'll have late in the split they lost to CLG and 100 Thieves, which was on a 100 Thieves was on a bad run. They were doing very bad. And then they end up beating Dignitas, and Dignitas loses to CLG 2 games in a row. And it's just stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
Dignitas overperformed a lot, and I feel like their overperformance is due to Afromu's play. I just feel like the reason I have a bad taste in my mouth about putting him MVP is because some games they lost. They lost because of Aframu. He played like he played his last split on 100 Thieves, which was not that great in my opinion. So, and I guess that's
I mean,
gonna happen, but
yeah.
it's gonna take away from your MVP votes for me
Yeah.
if your poor performance costs some games. Then
Yeah.
But I honestly, I'm not sure that it even matters past the first two candidates. I mean,
yeah, honestly, it doesn't.
I don't think
think there's a
anyone
world.
is gonna. I mean, maybe some people do, but Alfari and Blabber both seem like they're definitely
I mean,
top two
and
contenders.
FBI is one that I could definitely see taking away from votes, but
I don't think he's got enough to win though.
recency bias is going to weigh hard on him. They played so poor the last half of the split.
Mhm.
Like they went 5-4 last half of the split after coming out and starting 5-0 in the split, and bolstering a 6-3, which is not bad. It's pretty good. They probably shouldn't have lost those 3 games in the first half, but then going from that to going 4-5,
Mhm.
it's just
Yeah.
you're not going to win an MVP with a poor record like that, because the end of the split is when you should be ramping up, not
Dying down.
dying down. Yeah. So I think yeah, for most people it's going to be Blabber or Afari, and those are interchangeable for most people. I definitely have Blabber at number 1, and then a pretty large gap, and then Alfari, and then a pretty another large gap in Sword Art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
I think I would also agree. Besides the large gap between Alfari and Blabber, but
You don't think it's that large of a gap?
no, I could see it go either way. To be honest,
I think okay. So the gap is like not large. I probably should have said. I think it's a gap. It's a noticeable gap,
Yeah.
is what I mean.
Yeah, maybe. I still don't know that I would agree. I definitely agree that there's definitely a gap between those two and the rest of them. I
Yeah.
think, but I still think Blabber is definitely MVP for me at least.
Yeah, it's just for me. I always take MVP as what it's meant to be. I never. I don't like the whoever had the best stats should win MVP. I've never liked that,
Yeah,
and
okay.
I feel like that's the biggest argument for Alfari, because I don't feel like he is anywhere as close as valuable as Blabber is.
I don't know about you guys, but honestly, like Alfari's stats look really good, but he honestly went under my radar for
Yeah,
a lot of the split. Uh, he was just kind of there doing his part. He wasn't really outstanding in my eyes, anyway.
and that's what I'm basically saying. I don't think he ever won B9. I don't think there was ever like that smebble that everyone remembers with the 4-man cannon or whatever that was. Remember that?
Yeah, the one shot everyone.
Yeah, like there was never a moment like that where it's like, oh my gosh, dude, this guy just won them the game. It was like he created a lead, and the other top lanes like were down, and that was it. And he was solo killing some people, which is nice, but I don't think that means anything as far as MVP race, because I don't think I don't think there's ever a world if he didn't solo kill that they would lose those games, because their other lanes were winning too. And I just feel like it's very hard for a top laner to win MVP because they don't have impact on the game the first like 10, 15 minutes. They don't do anything but 1v1 the other top and maybe the jungler. And I feel like that's why junglers, mids, and supports are the most likely to get it, because they're the ones who create plays
It's funny
and set up the team.
you say mid because you don't have a mid laner on your list.
I
here.
do. And this literally comes down to I don't think any mid stood out enough. I think Power of Evil was probably the best playing mid, but I don't think he was solo carrying TSM. I think Sword Art did more for TSM playmaking than
So-
Power of Evil.
This is a little off topic for the MVP, but do you think that Perks has underperformed? I mean, because you say that there are no MVP candidates as far as mid lane, and if you said there was one, you'd say Power of Evil. But everyone coming in the split, they saw Perks was coming, and everyone was so hyped for Perks.
I don't think
And-
he underperformed, and the reason, well, okay, I don't think he's underperformed yet. I don't think Perks was ever a guy to come out and to absolutely smash during the regular season, and just run away with it. Like even his last split on mid for G2, I'm pretty sure that was a split. Yankos won MVP or something. Um, and that's because Perks has always been a guy. Well, he didn't start out. He started out as a guy who wanted to show that he was better than everyone else. But ever since he lost at Worlds that one time when they got close, he has been a guy to step down from I want to be the best on the Rift guy, and I think that's a lot of the reason why he had a role swap. But he's always been that guy who's like, I'm going to do whatever my team needs me to do, and when the big games come, that's when I'm going to step up. That's when I'm going to show who I really am. And throughout his past 4 splits, when they went on that run and got 4 titles in a row, I think he's played his best game in playoffs. And I think it's like they came in to playoffs at least 2 of those times, and they weren't even top 3 in record. And they came out and they beat everyone and they smacked everyone around. That last split, they had no business beating Rogue or Mad Lions because how they played all split. But they came in and they 3-0 Mad Lions, and then they come in and they 3-1 Rogue. He's always a guy who's not gonna show everything in just a regular season game because I don't think he cares. I think if he comes in and he underperforms this playoffs, then I think, yeah, he underperformed. But if he comes in and he is peak Perks form, then I think he's exactly the player that Cloud9 signed. I don't think Cloud9 really expected him to 1v9 coming into the split.
So you think they signed him for his playoff potentials?
I think they signed him for his, I wouldn't call it, I'd say important game potential. Because even going into Worlds, I think he has a Worlds buff. You know, he plays.
I'll tell you what I don't want to see. In Cloud9's last game, when if they lost, they had to play tiebreakers. They played. That was one of the slowest games I've ever seen. If we get into these games and they are all that slow, I'm gonna be really disappointed.
Yeah, I would say, but in their defense, they didn't have to press the pace. That was the first time they had really drafted a full late game team comp. And they didn't have to press the pace versus a Nocturne because you don't really want to, because Nocturne's always going to have that game-breaking ult at level 6 that is supposed to almost guarantee you a kill. And so they kind of sat back and they waited for Immortals to make plays, but Immortals never did. And so the game kind of just drug out until Cloud9 was stronger than them, and they just took a fight, and it was like one fight and the game was over. And that was basically the game. But to their defense, it's not their fault. Like, I think that game would have been a lot more exciting if Immortals would have tried to press the pace and Cloud9 would have had to react, and they would have had to do stuff to get back in the game, but they didn't have to. They just had to sit back and farm because they just outscaled, and Immortals didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily – I do think it's a very boring way to play, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that shows that Cloud9 is very good at playing to their win condition.
I think
it's have to force it.
I think it's a smart way to play when you draft that way. I think it's a very boring way for the fans.
Yeah, obviously it is. And I don't – it's a game they should have never been able to get away with like that, and they're not going to learn anything from that game at all because at Worlds, no team is going to sit there and let you free farm. Like Brandon let the Nasus free farm tonight. Yeah, that's never gonna happen in a Worlds contending in game, and so that game for them it sucks because I think they would rather play a close game and barely squeak out the win and get first place, or even go into tiebreakers than to get a game where you don't learn anything off of because that doesn't help you.
Yeah, because like you said, they drafted a super aggressive playstyle Immortals did with Renekton, Nocturne, Syndra.
Yeah.
And they didn't do anything.
They didn't.
A
They actually showed the first ult from Nocturne was at like level 8 or 9.
a team at Worlds is gonna hit level 6 on Nocturne
And
and
they're instantly gonna use it.
immediately ult.
Yeah.
Like they're
Oh,
gonna
and
get it off like Gromp or something and immediately ult bot.
I don't know if you were watching that game. Fudge was up like 20 something CS at like 10, 15 minutes against Renekton as Scion, which should never happen.
Yeah. Okay. So Revenge went 0-3 that game
Yeah.
versus Scion.
He should have hard stomped, but he didn't. And that was another thing. Like they weren't even winning the lanes they drafted to win. Perks was up in CS. Fudge was up in CS. Blabber was
It seemed like
he was
their
down, but
it seemed like their win condition was those early fights, but they weren't taking them.
yeah,
And then it just all kind of fell on Reyes's shoulders on the Draven, because he did cash out a few times with a lot of gold.
yeah, but they didn't press it. Like even when he got a shutdown on Blabber, who was 3-0, plus he cashed out for 1,000, so he got a huge amount of gold. And then they didn't use it. They didn't abuse that at all, and they ended up they're like the first fight was like for third or fourth dragon, like the first big team fight. And Cloud9, it was for Soul. Cloud9 just walks in,
Yeah.
they start dragon, they get Soul, and then they turn and fight, and they win the fight, and they go
straight
to the game.
ace them. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think anyone from
20
Cloud9 died in that fight.
No, it was 24 minutes, and they just get Dragon Soul, which is like the earliest you can get it, and then march it down. So, well, I feel like we derailed a lot there, but I don't think Perks is underperformed because I don't think they played to have him perform really well. And I don't think he needed to. I don't think he needed to have a Beerson level performance like he had that last split where he solo carried TSM. I think they were a team that wanted to. They knew they were going to be top 3 coming in. They wanted to figure out what playstyle was best, and I think they still want to figure out what's the best way for them to be good internationally. And I think we're going to see that in Spring Split. I think there's going to be a stint where they go 0-3, and I think it's going to be just fine because last split it was worrying because they had no vision of how to play without Niski roaming, and they tried to force it, and they couldn't. And they got hard stuck on this bot lane that wasn't working. But this split, I feel like Perks elevates his teammates, and he knows how to get people out of slumps. And I feel like his mental state is more than enough reason to buy him out. And so, with all his knowledge and his mental state, I think he brings a lot more to the team than you can see on paper. So I don't think he underperformed.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, we could keep talking, but I think we discussed
About
pretty much
everything we
everything.
had, yeah.
And it's been a few hours, so
I think it was 2.5 hours. So. Good first episode.
Yeah. Thank you for listening, wherever you're listening from.
Shout out to our sponsors.
Our sponsors.
We don't have any yet, but if you would like to sponsor us and you work for a company, dude, let's make it happen, Captain.
Yeah, exactly.
We're just three young lads with a dream of making a podcast, and so we did.
yeah.
And
we love esports.
To all the 3 viewers we're gonna have on this first one out there, appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. If you're on Spotify,
do whatever you do on Spotify.
Like it, put it in your rotation, listen to it 3 times a day, get us some views, and we're gonna peace out here, and we'll see you next week with some interesting new takes.
Yeah, hopefully some good games this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, peace.
Peace.
Peace.